Imagine being just 12 years old. You are standing in the center of a massive stage, clutching a small ukulele, looking out at a sea of thousands of expectant faces. You sing an original song about not knowing your own name, and suddenly the entire world explodes in applause. The golden confetti falls, the cameras zoom in on your tears, and the most powerful, intimidating judge in the entertainment industry looks you directly in the eye and calls you the next Taylor Swift. In that exact moment, your life changes forever. You are instantly handed the ultimate crown of pop music potential. But what the cameras do not capture, and what the audience never stops to realize, is that a crown handed to a 12-year-old child is often incredibly heavy, and sometimes it can become a cage. In the summer of 2016, Grace VanderWaal became the undisputed sweetheart of America. She won the 11th season of America's Got Talent, but she won something much larger than $1 million prize. She won the absolute adoration of the global public. With her signature yellow pants, her raspy, uniquely mature voice, and her charmingly awkward demeanor, she was the perfect television package. But today, we are pulling back the curtain on the aftermath of that victory. We are investigating the immense, unseen pressure of child stardom in the modern era. This is the dark, untold reality of Grace VanderWaal and the crushing weight of being labeled the next Taylor Swift.
To truly comprehend the magnitude of her journey, we must first examine the specific phrase that altered her destiny. When Simon Cowell compared her to Taylor Swift, it was meant as the ultimate compliment. It was a brilliant television soundbite that generated hundreds of millions of views. However, in the harsh reality of the music industry, comparing a young, developing child to the most successful pop star on the planet is an act of psychological sabotage. Taylor Swift was allowed to grow, make mistakes, and evolve her identity over a decade before reaching her global peak. Grace, on the other hand, was instantly burdened with an impossible, towering standard before she had even entered high school. The immediate aftermath of her victory was a whirlwind of relentless corporate exploitation. She was immediately signed to a major record label. She released an EP, headlined a show in Las Vegas, and was thrust into a grueling schedule of national television interviews, magazine covers, and international performances. The machine of reality television works incredibly fast. The network and the executives needed to capitalize on her viral momentum before the public's notoriously short attention span shifted to the next big thing. In this chaotic rush for profit, the fact that Grace was a child, going through the most vulnerable, critical developmental stages of her life, was completely overshadowed by her marketability.
The tragedy of winning a reality show as a child is that the public falls deeply in love with a frozen, specific version of you. The American audience fell in love with the quirky, innocent 12-year-old girl with the ukulele. They wanted her to remain that way forever. But human biology and personal evolution cannot be paused for the sake of television ratings. As Grace entered her mid-teens, she began to naturally grow, change, and seek her own unique identity. And this is when the invisible cage of child stardom began to violently shrink around her. When a child star attempts to transition into a young adult, the public often reacts with a strange, possessive anger. For Grace, the pressure to maintain her innocent, acoustic image was entirely suffocating. In a highly competitive, ruthless industry where your entire worth is tied to public approval, stepping outside of the box that made you famous is considered a massive career risk. But for Grace, remaining in that box was causing a profound, silent battle for her own identity. She was carrying an intense emotional toll, fighting to figure out who she actually was beneath the heavy label of being a musical prodigy. As she navigated her late teens, the world began to notice a drastic, undeniable shift. The sweet, acoustic pop songs were slowly replaced by darker, more complex, and heavily produced alternative music.
But the most shocking moment for the general public came when Grace completely shattered her carefully curated image. She shaved her head, abandoned the quirky aesthetic, and adopted a fiercely edgy, mature, and unapologetic visual style. To the executives and the original fanbase, this was a terrifying rebellion. Social media platforms were instantly flooded with harsh criticisms, cruel comments, and articles questioning her stability. The media loves to frame the natural evolution of a female child star as a tragic breakdown. When Grace altered her appearance, the tabloids did not view it as a young woman bravely exploring her artistic autonomy. They viewed it as a crisis. They demanded to know what went wrong with the sweet little girl who sang about miracles. But if we look closely, we see a very different, much more empowering reality. Shaving her head and changing her sound was not an act of destruction. It was a necessary act of survival. It was a bold, desperate declaration of independence from a public that refused to let her grow up. Throughout this intense period of transformation, Grace also pivoted toward the film industry, taking on the lead role in the Disney movie Stargirl. While this seemed like a traditional path for a young entertainer, it was actually a strategic move to express herself through different creative avenues. Yet, even in the world of acting, the ghost of her reality television past followed her.
The industry continually tried to force her back into the mold of the innocent prodigy. She was fighting a daily, exhausting war against an entertainment machine that wanted to control her narrative. This brings us to the dark, uncomfortable reality of America's Got Talent and similar reality competition shows. These platforms are incredibly efficient at discovering raw talent, but they are notoriously terrible at nurturing human beings. They build you up, extract your emotional story for television ratings, and then leave you to navigate the brutal reality of fame entirely on your own. For a child like Grace, the golden buzzer was both a blessing and a deeply complicated curse. It gave her a platform, but it also robbed her of the fundamental right to a normal, private adolescence, where she could make mistakes without millions of people watching and judging her every move. So what really happened to Grace VanderWaal? She did not fade into obscurity, and she did not become a tragic Hollywood statistic. Instead, she did something incredibly brave, something that most reality television stars never managed to accomplish. She killed the illusion. She deliberately dismantled the image of the quirky 12-year-old girl, and she violently rejected the suffocating label of being the next Taylor Swift. She chose artistic integrity over easy, guaranteed commercial success. She chose to be Grace VanderWaal.
Today, she continues to release music that is raw, authentic, and entirely on her own terms. Her voice has evolved from a childhood novelty into a powerful instrument of genuine emotional expression. Her journey is a profound cautionary tale about the toxic nature of overnight fame, but it is also a beautiful testament to the resilience of the human spirit. She survived the crushing weight of global expectations, and she walked out of the fire with her soul intact. The next time you watch a child step onto a brightly lit television stage and you hear the judges predict a legendary future, take a moment to look beyond the confetti. Remember the immense invisible pressure that is being placed on their small shoulders. Remember the incredible strength it takes to break free from the expectations of millions. Thank you for joining us in this deep dive into the untold realities of the entertainment industry. If this investigation changed your perspective on child stardom, please hit the like button, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel for more untold truths behind the spotlight. Stay curious, have empathy, and we will see you in the next documentary.